What is up, everybody? We are coming back. Leadership Lounge is coming back. We've been gone for a minute, needed to recharge, refuel, but we are coming back, baby, better than ever. We're coming to you live from this first episode. We're coming to you live from ACPA, and a conference that is to better yourself and better others within higher education specifically. But in this season, we are going to be tackling some of the biggest questions: how to become a change maker and how to call things to action. I want all of us to be going through this journey together so that we can better ourselves and better each other. I can't wait to dive into this first episode. Let's get into it and see what we have in store. Welcome to another live recording of the Leadership Lounge, man. If this is your first episode with us, first of all, welcome. And welcome also, we are live at ACPA. This is a Student Affairs Practitioner Conference here. It's being done in Long Beach, California. I'm not gonna lie, I'm having the best time of my life. I'm going to the beach tonight. Right. It is definitely an experience that this is my home. And for all of you in student affairs that are watching this, or if you're not in student affairs, like finding that conference, finding that place that you can consider your like complete refresh, your home, is what I would love. But as I say every single week, we here at the Leadership Lounge are here to cultivate and create the leader that you have inside of you. And today we have a fantastic guest with us today. I met him yesterday. I'm not even gonna lie. I've known this man for 10 plus years. No, that's a lie. That's a dirty lie.
Known you for 24 hours.
No, first episode, season 1, Dr. Kelly Dixon. She came on. She's a fantastic woman. She introduced me to him. But enough about me talking. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody out there in the lounge?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So first and foremost, thank you for having me. I do appreciate you bringing me on, John. And yeah, my name is Kevin Wright. I use he, him as pronouns. I serve as a senior consultant with an organization called the Center Consultancy. And I'm also a faculty member over at Southern New Hampshire University. So really happy to be here, really happy and excited to dig into this conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah. And to be clear, it's not just Kevin Wright, it is Dr. Wright. It is, because he's always right. No, I'm kidding.
So
I'm on like a 20 today. No, it's so one of the things that I went to Dr. K, and I'm like, I want to have a really intentional conversation for ACPA this year, and for what I want the Leadership Lounge to go into, because I've had a lot of you asking me like, how can we really change, especially the climate of where America is going right now? How can we do anything? And you know what? We're gonna change that. What we're talking about today, what we're always gonna be going forward in season 2, what we're doing is change makers. How can you be that change maker? I'm not going to tell you that you have to be on the corner or in like picketing, or you have to do X, Y, and Z, but there is things that everybody can do. There is something that everyone can do. And specifically, I'm not just talking about higher education. As both of us here in higher ed, I'm talking for you as the teacher, the post office worker, the firefighter, the person working within waste management. I don't care what your job is, you can be that change maker. We're calling truth to action. That's what 2025 is about, because I'll be damned if this whole year nobody calls truth to action anymore. That's what the Leadership Lounge is going to be all about. So what I want to ask you, my man, is like, so first of all, before we go into anything, I wanted to ask, how are you showing up today?
How am I showing up today? I am showing up very fulfilled. I mean, I will admit that, times are heavy, and at the same time, I am not letting that define how I show up, because I am still acknowledging the sheer an unfortunate reality that we are navigating on the day to day. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't want to give it too much power. Like I still want to make moments to connect. I still want to make moments to disrupt, to
Mhm.
bring about change. I still want to make moments to experience joy. So
Mhm.
I'm always trying to figure out for each day that I'm given, this privilege of life, what can I do to make it a good one, knowing that I'm navigating with the world proverbially on fire
Yeah,
around
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about you?
So I'm in a really good place. I feel like the thing how I'm showing up today is how I'm trying to show up every day. Is that I'm here, I'm present, and I'm
Mhm.
ready to make a change.
Absolutely.
Whether and what does that change? I mean, does that change within me? Yes. Does that change within the world? Yeah. Is it my change within my community? Yeah. It's different every single day.
Mhm.
But I want to wake up each day as a new day, even if yesterday was shit.
That's facts.
I mean, I want to be able to wake up every single day and be able to look at it and be like, you know what, today was not the best, but yes, tomorrow's gonna be better. Because I mean, it's as cliche as heck, but the reason why they call today the present because it is a gift.
Mhm.
And I like as cliche as it sounds, it's so true that I just want everybody to be able to resonate in that. Before we go any further, I don't want this the audio to be messed up. Uh, uh, your mic is rubbing against your shirt, and
Oh, it is. Okay.
I do not want I just don't want I don't want everybody to be listening out on that. So I'm gonna hold mine so that it can
Okay.
hear me, and if you could do the same, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, most definitely.
I got you. I'm like I saw it early on, and I'm like no because frankly this is the first time I've used these mics. So
These are dope mics.
these are the I've practiced with them and everything. They're really good, but they're also extremely sensitive.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah. So right now, what institution are you at again?
So I am a faculty member at Southern New Hampshire University,
Ken.
and then I am a full-time senior consultant at an organization called the Center Consultancy.
So why don't you dive in a little bit more? What is the Center for Consultancy again?
Yeah, so the Center Consultancy, that is actually our current name as of this past Monday.
Okay.
And it is because of the fact that, in light of what's going on politically
Mm,
here in the United States, we made a decision to basically change our name. We were formerly the Center for Equity and Inclusion.
mm,
And the thing is that while we are an organization that takes pride in doing racial equity work and DEI work and
no.
social justice and business development work and transformational work, we still are also navigating the reality that, hey, we have mortgages and we have rent,
Yeah.
we have kids, and some of us are caregivers. And, we also have social lives that we want to maintain or certain
Yeah.
lifestyles that we want to maintain. So, to be clear, we're not stopping any of the work that we're doing. We're just navigating the system accordingly and we're finessing. Where it's
Mm,
just like, okay, if y'all think that these words are the end of the world, such as diversity, equity, inclusion,
mm.
okay, fine. Then we won't say that, but we're still going to talk about it. We're
Okay.
still going to let you know what it looks like in practice. And we're also still going to hold you accountable to making sure that you sustain this work because of the fact that we're not here to be performative. We are here to be transformational.
Yeah. 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 Um, Side note, as y'all saw, I saw one of my brothers just pass by, and I cannot let a brother pass by without giving him what's up. Has that in it? So like when I ask you how you're showing up, and you say and you went through all of that, and the fact that you just changed, not you,
Yeah.
it was just changed.
Yeah.
Like how did that affect you, especially within the fact that from what I've known about you so far, 24 hours, but shush your mouth. Like within 24 hours, from what I've seen, you are someone that calls truth to power and doesn't let anybody push you to what, because you just said, we may change the name, but we're still going to be doing this. We're still going to be
Mhm.
about business. So like, how did that affect you?
Yeah, in terms of how it affected me, I will definitely say that I was frustrated, I was
Mhm.
aggravated, I was really, really annoyed. I definitely needed to take some time to myself,
Mm,
So I went outside. I went for it's like a 45-minute walk and
yeah.
just took in the air and the sunshine. And I just thought to myself, like, what can I do to still stay motivated in this work, knowing that this change even though some people may say and argue that like, oh, it's just a name change. I'm like, it goes so much
Mm,
deeper than that. So I will say that I did find myself and also my colleagues, in a sense of like almost like mourning, where it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is we're in this part of the game now.
Mhm.
And we just have to make it work, and we just have to figure out like how do we want to move forward, knowing that we are still doing this work with the utmost integrity.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you look at history, this is a move that has been done before.
Yeah.
There have been times where you got to think about historically at one point in time, because like right now it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. At one point in time, this work was called minority affairs.
That. Yeah.
And then it changed into multicultural affairs.
Mhm.
And then it changed into DEI. So it's just one of those things where it's like but the work still hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, okay, y'all are mad at these terms, or these words are no longer timely, or
Yeah.
these words are no longer relevant, or people just are trying to weaponize these words. And it's just like, all right, you're gonna play those games, then we will shift accordingly, because we have been doing so for years. And that's why I've been trying to get folks to understand, where it's just like, I can let go of these words. However, I'm not letting go of the meaning behind these words and the action behind these words, because I can talk to you about diversity for a whole hour and not even say the word diversity.
Mm.
So, and I can actually and I can even show you like how to put that in practice, knowing that if you challenge me to not say diversity in a session about diversity, trust and believe there's ways to do it. It's just that not everybody has that exposure. Not everybody has that, that upbringing. Not everybody has that mentorship or
Man.
that type of, team backing them, or even
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's just like, I've been taught several
Mhm.
ways by different scholars and practitioners across different industries, where it's just like, hey, you gotta finesse. You gotta finesse sometimes. And right now we're finessing.
I think you're going off of when you're like, first of all, like that's deep. I just want everybody to recognize that, like the fact that you said, okay, you're gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, you're basically, as unfortunate as it is, you're a damn good player at playing some chess. Cause or and poker, man. You're like, I see you're 20, and I'm gonna raise you another 30.
Right.
Like it's a game.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing is that my organization, we have been preparing for quite some time in different ways.
Mm.
All of us are at different levels, but some of us have been preparing,
Mhm.
ever since Biden first got inaugurated. Have been preparing, because it's just like, look, all right, 45 just left, Biden's coming in. It doesn't mean that there still isn't a chance that 45 come back.
Yeah.
And now 45 is now 47. So some of us have been preparing since the last administration. Some of us have been preparing since the moment we found out 47 made it past the primaries.
Mhm.
And we recognize that for some people around us, and for folks that we're in relationship with, we know that some folks uh, did not start preparing up until like the day after the election. Some people didn't start preparing until
Man, that's true.
January 20th.
That's true.
And some folks, even in the current day, still haven't prepared and are just taking it on in stride
Yeah.
each day in real time, and it's one of those things where like we're not shaming anybody, because everybody prepares in different ways.
Mm.
It's just that one of the things that we've been very clear about is that everything that we have seen up to this point, it has not been a surprise. We have not
Yeah.
been caught off guard.
Yeah.
Um, and I always tell people like, most of what has happened already, we knew it was coming, because not only do they say that they were going to do it, they put it in writing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, go on and read it. Like, okay, I know it's a long page, but like, I need you to take a second and like recognize that everything that's happening, the people that are surprised, and this is not a knock on anybody.
Mhm.
However, the people that are surprised are the ones that were invested in other things at that time, or that were not like looking at a lot of the other things around them. One thing that I'm gonna start doing in this season that I hadn't been doing last season, I'm gonna call exactly how it is. If you have a problem with it, that's fine. I'll give you my email. But like, I want you to tell me what, and when I'm wrong, I want you to tell me. But this is one thing I believe that I am not wrong on. The fact that when we know of something, it's right in front of us, and at least like he's talking about it right now. Kevin's talking about how like the fact that we we knew it. They knew it. His company knew it, and they're going forward to make sure that like, okay, what can we do here, there, and because when things happen good for us, that doesn't mean it's always going to stay exactly where we want it to be.
Right.
So when we're wanting to like continue, like for right now, there's a huge question of what the heck do I do? Everybody is wondering and everyone's asking and people are terrified. And I mean, for you right now, what is one thing that is continually making you know that you are a change maker?
I do a lot of reading, quite frankly. And the reason why I say that is because, and again, no shade to people that do this. I actually appreciate the people that are on the internet, on social media, and they're doing the reading, they're doing the hard work, they're putting in all this labor, and then they're giving folks like basically some are just like, hey y'all, this is what today's executive order means, or hey y'all, this is what this new policy means. And so they try to simplify it and make it more accessible. I love that. And for me, I personally prefer to go to the source material myself because of the fact that that summary is a summary for a reason. So that means that some things were left out. And so for me, I want to have a full understanding of like what is going on, how does it impact me, and how does it impact others. So one of the things that has been very helpful for me to understand and essentially remain steadfast in the fact that I am a change maker is by doing the reading and then reminding folks of like, hey, this is what this is what this is not. So I've been doing a lot of clarity and fact checking as opposed to like, hey y'all, here's a summary of what this means. Like, because I've had some folks come into space with me and they're just like, well, Kevin, we can't put on events for Black History Month. By the way, happy Black History Month, y'all. and one of the things that I had to do was tell, my colleagues that I was in relationship with at that time, where it's just like, hey, that's actually not true to a certain extent. I would say that's a yes and not an either or. I would say yes with an asterisk because it's technically not true to the fullest yes. Because I had just got done delivering a keynote address at my alma mater, Northern Arizona University, for Black History Month. And they are still executing Black History Month events. Some organizations that I'm in relationship with, they say, oh, we're pulling back because we were told that we can't do anything for Black History Month or Women's Her Story Month or Asian Pacific Islander Middle Eastern Heritage Month. And it's just like, yes, you can. So that tells me that you've been misinformed and you made a choice that was rooted in urgency and also fear, because of the fact that I get it. People do not want to lose their jobs. People do not want to get reprimanded. People do not want to get harmed. People don't want to, potentially jeopardize anything pertaining to their livelihood. I totally get that.
No, that's true.
And at the same time, it's like, I want us to make sure that we're on the same page about what is going on, which is why I've been taking the role of doing the work, doing the reading, and reminding and basically telling folks, this is what this is what this is not. And I'll explicitly say, like, this is an executive order. That means such and such. However, this is not to say that you should just stop doing what you're doing. It just means that you need to continue doing what you're doing, but in a different way. So not necessarily stop, just redirect. So
for everybody watching this physically, I'm sorry about the craziness happening. I had to fix something, and then we're fine now. We're stable. But no, I think for the fact that you're one that wants to get really into and I am too. You want to get into the actual readings, like you want to pull out the 6,000 word document to be able to read every single word to know exactly cover to cover what is being said. Now, for some that might have this question, for you as someone that what is your doctorate in?
Organizational leadership.
Okay. You're one that you want to get into that theory. You want to get into that. You want to get into the nitty gritty of that theory. Some people, they don't, some people maybe that don't have a master's, that don't have a doctorate, they maybe have a trade school degree, which is nothing wrong with any of them, but with any of that, but maybe they don't want to go down and get into that hard. It's easy for you. I mean, it's easy for you to do that. So how can I be the change maker that you are? And I only, like, in my opinion, you are never going to be the change maker that he is. You're never going to be the change maker that I am. You're never going to do that because I'm not going to be him. We're very different people. I mean, but I mean, what would you say to someone that says it's easy for you, but it's not, it's different for me?
And see, speaking of theory, I actually was just talking about this the other day, which was I'm forgetting like the official technical name, but it's basically talking about a socially equitable ecosystem. And basically it talks about how everyone has a role in this work. Some folks are the researchers. They're the ones that are reading the scholarship. They're the ones with their heads between the pages, and they're getting into the nitty gritty of what's in print, right? But then also within that ecosystem are the storytellers, the advocates, the challengers, the people who are, showing up to the state capitol, but then also people in a different capacity showing up to the protest. There are the people who are the marketers. So they're making sure that they're raising awareness through all mediums. There's people that are having difficult conversations with their loved ones. There's so yeah, so I share that theory, that brief summary of that theory, because everyone is needed in this work. So in order to be a change maker, I would first tell a person or advise a person to assess what their strengths are, and then to maximize on those strengths in order to bring about the change that they want to see. So if your strength is not necessarily in, doing extensive reading or diving into theoretical frameworks, then don't worry about that. Now, if your strength is that you are an effective communicator and you are a great talker, okay, then go give a speech, share public comment, go talk to folks in the community, make sure that they are aware of what's going on. I mean, obviously that's going to involve you being well informed, but you don't necessarily need to like read the books, and read the articles. However, make sure that you are getting information from reputable resources in order to then communicate to others like, hey, we need you in this work. I am needed in this work, just like you are needed in this work. If you are a person that is an artist, whether it's a graphic artist or a visual artist, or, maybe you're a singer or a dancer, okay, think about how you can express disruption in those forms of art to make sure that people are aware that like, hey, this is not okay. This is wrong on all levels, and we need to fix it. We need to change it. So as much as we need the people who are the researchers, we need the people who are the artists, we need the people who are the storytellers, we need our elders, we need our disruptors and our challengers, and we need folks that are both in the boardroom and in the classroom and on the streets.
I think the fear though is what hold people back. Like I want to be that change maker. It's just like it's terrifying because
Absolutely.
I want to be up there. I want to do what I can for the people that I care about. But it comes to the fact of like you were talking earlier about how like losing the job and losing everything I've worked for. But maybe it's even more like maybe it's just like more I might I might have my family not like me anymore. I might get disowned from my family, or maybe I lose my loved one, or maybe something within that. And it goes a lot deeper sometimes than people might realize. But the statement that I would say then to that is specifically we need to be a change maker. It's not an easy task.
No, yeah.
It's for everyone. I don't want you to think me saying like, oh, it's not an easy task, so it's not for everybody, because some people say that for other things. This is not one of them. A change maker is someone that wakes up every single day, decides today's going to be different, and I'm going to be up at the front of it. Not just to be up at the leader. Up at the front of something doesn't mean that everyone leading it. I mean, here at ACPA, one of the biggest things that I've learned every single time that I come is that every person here at this conference is a change maker. Every single person that comes here is that person that's here. I'm not willing to let that happen anymore. How can I better myself? How can I better the people around me? I think then goes down to one of the biggest things that happens in almost every single breakout session is calling truth to power.
Yeah.
How do you make that happen? How do you call truth to power, especially when that fear is over you like a dark cloud?
That fear is definitely real in so many ways, for all kinds of people. And something that I have learned throughout the years because of the love and support of mentors is taking an assessment of what am I what am I wanting to gain from doing this work? And also simultaneously, what am I willing to lose? Because there have been some situations where I've had to think about like, oh, you know what? If I speak up, or if I say something, or if I publish this piece, or if I show up to this protest, I might lose a friend. I might lose a coworker. I might lose a family member.
Man.
And I've had to assess that, So
Hold on. I need to wait. We're having an authentic conversation now. Man, okay. So I want everybody listening to this to hear about the fact of like you want to have that real connection. You want to be able to say, this is a thing, this is happening, but how do you let that happen? How do you wake up each morning and decide for that to happen?
Oh man, that is through a lot of deep reflection and prayer. Because I essentially look at it from a spiritual lens.
Yeah.
And also a cultural lens, because I was raised, granted, I come from an Afro-Indigenous background, and yet my grandmother raised me to think very boldly from a cultural aspect. And essentially I wake up each day and I ask myself, what did my ancestors send me back here for? Because essentially I am a person that does believe that, we all have lived in a past life. You have lived in a different time period at some point in time, whether as ourselves or a different person, whether we were the same race or a different race, same gender or a different gender. Right. And it's just like, all right, I'm in this time frame. I'm in this timeline. I'm in this, I'm in this period of the creator's universe. What is my purpose in this time? And sometimes I always think back of like, man, I wish I could just channel, my past self. And sometimes I feel like I do and I don't even realize it. But essentially, I know one thing to be true. My ancestors did not send me back here to simply to be black, pay taxes, and die. So my ancestors sent me here to do something of great value, and to leave this world better than how I first came into it. And one of the things that I've learned with that mindset is that, like, oh well, sometimes in order to do great things you need to sacrifice other things. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But it's one of those things that I have made peace with, that I have come to terms with. I kid you not, like literally the day after the election, there were certain people who, made their decision and I made mine. I'm just like, all right, well, I appreciate what we had in this chapter of my life, and now it has come to a close.
Yep.
And it is what it is. Because I also see it as like, whatever I lose, I'll gain back tenfold in abundance eventually, because I am doing this work for a reason. And the work that I am doing attracts the people that need to be around me. And it pushes the people that don't need to be around me away. And that's great, because I'd rather have a healthy circle than a toxic one. And for some of us, we are navigating in toxic circles, but don't realize it because we are conveniently nice with each other until we start having those different conversations. Right? Until we start having those different conversations. It's like, oh snap, I've known you for 15 years, but who are you? And it's just like, I thought we was on the same page. It's just like, no, we're on the same page when it comes to music and sports, but we're not on the same page when it comes to values and humanity. And that does not sit well with me.
Oh, let's unpack that. Because that's a whole other conversation. My God, like everyone that went through what the world went through, what the U.S. has gone through in the recent months, has been showing people they've been showing people that have been in their lives their colors without actually knowing. And then like knowing like what you were just talking about. Oh yeah, we like music and sports the same way, but with everything else that, like, I don't want to say that matters, but that matters. It like, and we're not even close, but we don't talk about it. It's like that stupid Disney song. We don't talk about Bruno. No, we talking about Bruno today. Like, look, it's just it's so uncomfortable, and because everyone's like, well, I don't want to make people mad, but I'm gonna believe what I'm gonna believe, even though if it's not on business.
Right.
Like it's just and now, because everyone's starting to find out, man, shoot, I've known people that I've known for years that never knew that they thought that direction,
Right.
and then all of a sudden, wow. And I'm not talking about how everybody has to have the same opinion. That's not the same. I'm talking about full on human decency. I'm talking about like actually going into a college campus, going into your work, and know that you are valued for being you, for being the person you are, not because I'm a man, not because I'm a white man, not because I'm a straight white man, but because I'm a person.
Right.
And that's not the thing. And that's not ever been the thing, honestly. But as myself being a straight white man, I have not had to deal with half of the shit that, say, you have,
Right.
or that half of my brothers and sisters throughout, more than half, all of my brothers and sisters throughout MPAC. It's a different lens that people don't want to ever acknowledge because it's awkward.
Right. It definitely can be awkward, and at the same time, in moments where we are uncomfortable, we're more susceptible to learning and growing. And yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is difficult because of the fact, especially when it happens in real time. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that it's been easy to lose folks.
Yeah.
However, I will say the transition period has been easier for me nowadays. The part that still stings is when I first find out and realize, I'm like, oh wow, this person is telling me to my face that they love me, yet their actions are the complete opposite and don't reflect that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, now I have to come to terms with the fact that this person, who probably was a very integral part of my childhood or my college years or my formative years,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, it's now coming to a close. And it's just like, I now have to mourn, that loss. I now have to be okay with just the memories that I have of this person,
Yeah.
up to that point. And don't get me wrong, when I first started like losing folks in my life, I would get into this big mental spiral. I'm just like, so was any of you real? Were we
Yep.
really friends? How the hell did we even become friends if this is how they always thought about the work? So it was just one of those things where, like, I had to check myself, where I'm just like, you know what, the experiences that we had are the experiences that we had, and I will cherish those. And at the same time, I cannot move forward if this is how you see not only me, but also see the work that I do. I have literally have had people tell me to my face, Kevin, you're doing an amazing job, but then we'll literally be at the first meeting that talks about anti-DEI. I'm just like, so I'm doing a good. Wait, do you even understand what I do at this point? So now, just like, was that just an empty compliment? So like, I've tried to check myself. Where I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not going to serve anybody. It's not going to serve me. And there are some questions I will never get the answer to, and I'm
True.
not even trying to like waste my time on that. I just gotta accept, this to be the thing. I believe it was Maya Angelou that says, when a person shows you their true colors, believe them. So like, for me, it's just like, sometimes it's hard to believe, but you gotta believe, that this person is the person that they are.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that the people can't change. I'm not saying that at all,
Yeah.
because there definitely have been some difficult conversations that I've had with some loved ones that I have still been able
Yeah.
to maintain in my life, but that's because it required an awkward and uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah. I've been able to have those like those awkward conversations, and I have people in my life that do view very opposite than me, but the difference is that they are open to listen to me, and I appreciate that. They're open to listen to me, and they are open to, because they have changed a little bit, and I'm at first when I did it, oh my God. we went into it, and I'm all about like, I mean, mess around and find out. Like, I mean, like, hell, I mean, don't piss me off.
Right.
But I am one that wants to respect people, and that's been awkward for me recently because I'm like, I want to respect, but I don't know how to respect. And I want to like, then why the way I say, or the reason I say that is because I I am someone that wants to jump into the fire without thinking to help the person that's in it. But then by me jumping into the fire without thinking about it, who am I then going to be who am I going to be then hurting by then me jumping into the fire? Am I going to be like who is who is not at fault, but who is in the fire with me inadvertently? And I've been having like not hard conversation, but really blunt conversation with my wife, and like with like what we're planning on trying to do for going further. Do we like we're wanting to have children? Like when do we want to have children? Like when we want to have a family, start that family. What does that look like? And are you okay with the call to action, truth to action that I'm about? Because that's what I want my kids to know. I don't want them to be afraid to be their true self. And I want them to be able to go in front of situations that are happening and say, no, that's not okay. That's not what's happening. And it's fine. And like, I mean, we're on the same page, but there are people very integrate people in my life that I've had since I was a child that I had to separate myself from. It was, and you were talking about how awkward it was. Awkward is like the only word that I can think of that isn't expletive.
Okay.
It's just it's bad. It was so bad, but I feel like a new person. I feel like a new person, and it's not about how like we're like, oh, I don't need that person in my life, and I wanted to do that. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it at all. But the thing that made me realize is that if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to be about it.
Oh yes, most definitely. And the thing is that at least for me, I while I have lost quite a few folks in my life, one of the things that I've said to every single person that I've kind of like cut off is that the offer for reconciliation will always remain on the table.
Period. Yeah.
So but I've told people, like, you gotta do the work. You gotta meet me in the middle. So it's just like if your values are this, like I need you to shift those values. So it's one of those things where like I've told people explicitly where it's just like this, it doesn't have to be this way. So if we go a decade without talking and then you come back into my life because you want to do the work, then I will gladly and openly welcome you back into my life. And I hope that you do the same for me in return. But that opportunity for reconciliation will always be there because my grandmother told me growing up, where it's just like, people are not perfect. However, no one, no one is above, the opportunity of reconciliation. Sometimes people do deserve a second chance. Sometimes people are meant to leave our lives for a season and then they come back a whole brand new person. So it just depends on, if that person's willing to do the work. And, I'm included in that because there have been some people in my life where they cut me off. I'm just like, you know what? I messed up. Or, hey, I didn't see things the way that you did. So I now, but I value you so much. So now I need to assess, like, what am I willing to do to regain your trust, and have that place back in your life, knowing that it is going to require effort and labor and intentionality from me.
That's really big. I want to acknowledge you in that. I hope that you see that like that in itself is not a common practice. And I want to acknowledge you for that because that's huge and that's really impressive. By able to, for all of us, I mean, if anything from what you just said, taking from that, knowing that like I accept that I am at fault at things and I have caused people to do this and I'm not perfect, but nobody's perfect. But the perfect thing to do is to acknowledge the things that we all need to do. And I really appreciated that because That, I mean, it's all speaking to things that's happened in my life, and I'm like, oh no, we're not crying today. But
Okay.
but like I appreciated that. I really, really do.
Thank
I think especially with what you're doing with your career and what you want to do going forward, I that is like the best thing to have at the forefront.
you.
Um, humility, dignity, and just synergy to what you're doing.
Mhm.
I man, I'm gonna give Dr. K a hug when I see her. I'm gonna like, you just introduced me to my new best friend.
That's what's up.
I'm so pumped. But like, so as we go forward, I mean, we're only in February
Right.
of 2025. I just want to remind everybody this is not like December,
Right.
unfortunately. But like, we are not only in like month 2 of a 4-year process.
Mhm.
How? I mean, we don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring.
Right.
We know what has allegedly going to be doing, but like within higher education specifically, what I would ask is, man, like how can we be there to support the whole student when the whole staff and faculty are still at like a loss?
Yeah, one of the things that I've been doing has been trying to be as transparent as possible and literally level with the student, where it's just like, hey, I got your back. I'm here to support you. That's not changing. However, certain things in terms of my approach to how I support you
Mhm.
will change, and that's because of the impact from 47 in his administration. And I let them know, it's just like, hey, I don't have all the answers. I'm finding everything out in real time, just like you are.
Mhm.
But just know that once I know something, you'll know something. And once those shifts or changes do happen, just know I'm gonna give you a heads up so you can process that. And that support's gonna look different. And then also making sure that the student themselves has a support network,
Yeah.
because of the fact that I have worked with a few students where their only support mechanism was me, and it's
Oof.
just like, well, we need to enhance that. We need to
Yeah.
extend that, because of the fact that, like, yeah, I'm at this institution now, and at the same time, I won't be at this institution forever. So it's just like, I don't want to have you feel abandoned. So therefore, we need to build your network. We need to make sure that you have not only a strong support network, but also strong coping mechanisms for in the
Mhm.
times where you may have to address some type of hardship solo dolo.
Mhm. I So when we're doing all of this and we're talking about specifically the whole student though,
Mhm.
I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip it on you
Okay.
because we're talking about how we supporting specifically from what I'm hearing from you. Like we talking about how we supporting the students that want to support.
Mm.
So how are we going to be able to? Because I don't even know
Eh,
how can we support the whole student, the students that are with, against, and for.
mhm. So one of the things that I've been doing with students who have been in full support of what's going on, I've led more with questions as opposed to statements with them.
Like give it to them to okay.
Yeah. So essentially, um, you know, I'll use this mechanism. It's called mirror aligned bridge. It's a communication tool.
Oh
And have you heard of it?
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so it's one of those things where, like, I try to meet them at the level, then I try to align with something that they, have said to me or said out loud, and then basically I ask them a critical question for them to then take ownership of their own learning and to guide, their learning to understand, like, hey, do you not really understand the impact of your actions? Like recently, I was working with a student who said, Kevin, I don't know what's the big deal. This is great. This is what folks needed. This is going to change the world. This is going to better our country. Da 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 da.
I mean, it's gonna change the world.
Right, right, right. And so to that student, I heard him say, I basically said, hey, I heard you say that, this is good for us, and this is
this is going to change the world. This is going to change our country. This is going to improve everything.
Yeah.
That's what I heard you say. And for me, I love it when things improve. So especially when it improves for everyone.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm curious, how exactly do you see things that are happening right now being able to actually improve the livelihoods of every American?
Not just the whole student, the
So
whole American.
right,
Oh,
right. So
yeah.
just please give me some detailed uh
Yeah.
examples. And usually and that student took the time to pause and was just like, well, I'm just like, take your time. I'm very curious, and I genuinely want to hear an answer. And the student said, "Well, I don't know, but I just know that this was the right choice for America." I'm just like, so that tells me that you're not really thinking about how this impacts, your classmates, your colleagues,
Yeah.
your fraternity brothers, your faculty, your staff members. Like, what if I told you that some of the things that I do to support you were to go away next week because of this administration? And the student then said, like, well, that sucks. Why would that go away? I'm like, because it is gonna go away. That's what I'm saying. He's just like, well, I didn't know that that was a part of his platform. I'm just like, okay. So then what information were you navigating off of to make the decision that you made and support this
Yeah.
when you voted? And they said, well, oh, my mom said this, or my dad said this, or like my fraternity brother said this. I'm just like, okay. And then did you look any of that up? Because Google is free. They're just like, no, they just said that like he's
You
gonna
don't
do
trust.
X, Y, and Z. I'm just like, all right. So you followed the sentiments of people that you trust, and at the same time you didn't verify any of this. So in light of the fact that certain ways that I can support you are going to shift, change, or go away completely, how does that make you feel? And they say, well, that makes me feel really sad. I'm just like, why does it make you feel sad? They're like, because I feel like you're one of the few people on this campus that actually cares about me. And now you're saying that certain ways that you're supporting me are going to go away just because of who's in office. I'm just like, and that's how deep this goes.
Man.
So I've had to have had multiple conversations like that with students who have been fully supportive, because right now we're seeing this slow but steady like incline of post election guilt, where folks are realizing like, damn, I really made the wrong choice. And I'm just like, I wish I would have thought about that before November.
That yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, the fact of the matter is that whether they're doing the oh crap face now, or uh, whether they're whatever it might be, I I recognize and I love the fact that you're looking at your student and you're telling them, like, you're educating them without educating them.
Well,
Like, if that makes any sense. And
no, it does make sense because I'm not trying to lecture them, because I know it's going to go in one ear and out the other. I want
yeah.
them to take ownership of like, do you truly understand the impact of your actions? Yes or no?
And the fact of the matter, like with that, is the fact that you're sitting with them and saying, like, because I mean, from this conversation, I could see that you would say, like, please inform, like, I want to know, like, what about
Yes.
it can help more than just one select group of people. Like, please tell me, because I want to understand, because I want to trust. Tell me what I can trust. And when they can't, it's not that you're trying to bait them. It's not the not caring about them. It's the fact of you're trying to educate the next gen
Right.
instead of just recreating past mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I and I'm trying to even teach myself how to do that. Like, instead of just looking at somebody like, you knucklehead, why? But the fact of how you just told me that's really good. That's a really good way of doing it.
I'm trying, because empathy is not one of my strong suits, but I know that it is necessary in order to do this work and to navigate these conversations, especially when folks are coming from different levels of perspective, background, privilege, et cetera, et cetera.
how would you, within like, as we keep on going within the next 4 years, within the next year, within this season, how, what is some advice that you would give to anybody that is wanting to recognize where they are, wanting to become the next thing, and start becoming that change maker, and start becoming that person that can call truth to power?
Yeah, most definitely. The first thing that I would tell a person in terms of like where to start is with their self first, in terms of like, where are you mentally? Where are you physically? Where are you emotionally? Where are you spiritually? If applicable. Um, and the reason why I bring that up is because I've seen a lot of people uh, be very reactive to what's going on, understandably so, and then they just dive right in. And just trying to do and try to do all the things because they're worried and they're scared. And the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with feeling worried. There's nothing wrong with feeling scared. It's just that give yourself time to feel those things. Give yourself time to process those things, and then give yourself time to figure out, so now how do I want to move forward in light of the fact that I just had this moment to myself? Because I was actually talking to a psychologist not too long ago, and she was saying to me, Kevin, it's important that people are well informed, uh, but do their best to not excessively worry. There's nothing wrong with worrying a little bit, but excessively worrying is not going to help anybody. And then that's when she broke it down in terms of the science and the health behind it. She was just like, if we worry excessively, we raise cortisol levels. If we worry excessively, blood pressure goes up. If we worry excessively, heart rate goes up. If we worry excessively, we could have heart palpitations. We could have anxiety attacks. We could have heart attacks. We could have a stroke. And then we'll be in the hospital, wonder how the hell did we get here?
It's going to turn into a physical problem for us.
Right. And one of my mentors told me a long time ago, if you don't prioritize your wellness, you'll be forced to prioritize your illness.
Oh,
So it's one of those things where, like, we have to be informed, keep a watchful eye on, what's going on. And we need to think about, okay, how am I feeling in light of what's going on? Honor myself and honor what's coming up for me in that moment. Then have that moment, then process and strategize, and then act on that strategy.
So, because it's all about productivity. You need to be able to be proactive instead of reactive. That reactivity is just, I like it. Frankly, it gets on my nerves. I hate. I mean, sometimes reactivity is like it. If it was not something that we could have prepared for, or I mean, maybe like 2% of America could have prepared for something, or your area could prepare for something, but you had no idea. And then you're like, we need to do something. We're going to get into it now. That's different. But when there's like a big neon sign pointing at something, and you're just going to look at it, blinding yourself to hurt yourself.
Right.
And then when it happens, oh, why does my head hurt? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. And so I want to challenge everybody. I want to challenge everybody listening. I want to challenge everyone, regardless of when you have started listening to this. I want to challenge you to realize that, one, you know your name. Say your name right now as you're listening to it. I, John, am going to be that change maker. I am going to start by insert that blank. You know your life better than I do. I know my life better than you do. And I know what I have the capacity of doing. And you know the capacity of what you can do. He knows his capacity. And like for me, coming to ACPA is my recharge.
Absolutely.
It's take a breath, begin again. That's what we're doing this time. It's taking a breath. Just this, we're okay. We're here. We know where we're at, and we know where we're going. And that's all what we want to do. It's what I'm challenging every single one of us to do, is to not let the muck, not let the weight of the world completely bog us down, because that's the last thing that we could do. It's an absolute last thing that we can do, because the moment that we do that, whether you want to call it the enemy, whether you want to call it 47, whether you want to call it whatever you want to call it, that wins. And I care too much from people around me to just sit back and let it happen. I can't. I physically would get like ill. I would just get you go back to that heart palpitations and everything that would be happening if I do not do anything about it. And what does that look like for you? It looks different for every single person. For me, that means getting out in the streets. That means talking to people. That means getting the education, the highest education that I can do, so that I am fully an expert at that. I'm an expert at what I can be doing in that field. And in that moment, in the grit of doing it all, I'm still going to be getting into it. What does that mean for you? You need to ask yourself that question going forward. Every single week that we continue going on to this change-making abilities of all of us have that ability of doing, I'm going to challenge you. And my challenge for you this week is to look at yourself and ask yourself, what can I do to make that change? What can I do to make that change? Before we go, I would like to ask one more thing. As we go into this evening and the rest of this conference and everything, and as we part ways, brother, you're stuck with me now for life.
I'm down.
But like as we continue going, what is one word? What is one word that all the listeners can be listening to right now that can just take them a second and just resonate with?
One word. Audacity.
Audacity. Have the audacity to have a leap of faith.
Absolutely.
Oh, I was actually on the way here. I was reading. It was a pastor. His name is Pastor Stephen Burdick, Elevation Church.
Oh, okay.
And he has this old book. It's called Sun Stand Still, and it's all about having that audacious faith to ask for something that's completely unaskable. And it's like to ask for the actual day to be lasting longer so that you can finish that battle, and having that audacious faith to go into your boss's office to be able to say what we're doing is unacceptable. Being able to I knew I met you for a reason. Having the audacity.
Beauty of it. Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Well, man, Kevin, Dr. Wright, I am super excited. I'm so excited. I'm happy. I'm blessed to have met you.
Likewise.
This is episode 1 of season 2, and I feel rejuvenated after this episode. I hope that all of you listening, watching, however you're getting this podcast, you recognize that last season was a season of discovery. This season is a season for change. We're going to be doing that every single episode. So as we say every single week, again, we are here to cultivate and create the leader that you are, that you have the ability of being. So please, as we continue going, as we continue creating and elevating who we are, remember, take a breath. We got each other. And we'll always be able to have the audacity to have that faith.
Awesome.
All right. You all have a blessed day, and always remember to cultivate it. See y'all next time.